Hello, how's it going? Today something really cool turned up and I want to show you it. So I've been, if you don't know, I've been collecting different displays for the display at the museum, the display. I've been starting to collect a few that I haven't set up yet because I want to get them all on the same board, because constantly making a new one that's got a different power supply and this, that and the other, it all gets a little bit hard when you're trying to get the displaying. So I've been collecting a few of them up with a plan of wiring them in simultaneously for the display. When I saw TechMoan's video the other month on the Mill Clock, which is basically NIXIE tubes that are made from brand new NIXIE tubes, newly manufactured NIXIE tubes. I had to get a couple just to have a look, and a month or so later they have finally arrived. And yeah, they're way cooler. They're bigger than I thought. They're a lot bigger than I thought. So this is the Mill Clock ZIN70. Mill Clock ZIN70. It's ginormous. It's bleeming. It's huge. I knew they were going to be big, but actually seeing them in real life, they're pretty massive. If we put them up next to a ZN1040, which is a pretty chunky big NIXIE tube in itself, it's the ones that are in the visitor counter, the electromechanical visitor counter, you can really see the difference in size. Like, that's enormous, isn't it? That is really pretty big. There's also another tube that I managed to get hold of that is in the kind of stockpile to add to the display. It was the B7971. It's an absolute beast. You might recognize it from FranLab. And that is a behemoth of a tube. But as you can see, that is still slightly smaller than the ZIN70. I'm just going to search it up just to say, make sure I'm actually calling it the right thing. Yeah, ZIN70. Now, I bought this before Christmas. They're not particularly cheap, obviously, because they're brand new NIXIE tubes. The clocks themselves, with a bunch of them, I think it's 6 tubes, they're looking at about $1,000 or something. That was a bit beyond my budget. However, to get one of these, they cost $129 each, which, yes, is quite a lot of money. But if you really want one, then you really want one, don't you? Look, but when you look at it this way, that this one, the usual going rate for a ZM1040 is around, I think, around 60 quid or something, which is still, is crazy for something like for that. 60 quid, it's mad. Well, like this $130 transferred to pounds, it's about what, 100 quid? So 60 quid, 100 quid. It's a crazy amount of money for what they are, but to think about how much manufacturing has gone into something like this in a reasonably small quantity is quite amazing. And now I spent a little while trying to find a socket for the B7971 and I didn't have much luck. I came up with a plan of purchasing the little pins that connect onto them, which they haven't turned up to yet, and then making a 3D printed socket that these pins glue into, and that sits on top of it, and then it might be a box that sits underneath that's got the circuitry for this. These come with 2 different socket types. You can either get it like this or you could get it like PCB header interconnectors, and if I'm honest, I couldn't remember which one I ordered until it turned up, and it turns out it's the proper socket version. However, it turns out they're the same blooming socket. I can't find the socket, so I'm gonna have to wait for the pin connectors, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna 3D print it like I said for this, but now I need to 3D print the same thing twice basically. It's all right, it'll be okay. I'm just gonna make my own sockets. That'll be lovely. But I figured since it's turned up, before we get the socket and we make the circuit for it, let's just have a look at what it does. So I've got a little NIXIE tube power supply here. There's a little resistor on the end. We're just gonna plug the black wire. Oh, this is the ground out of a tangle. Try not to get electrocuted because it's like 130, 140 volts. And then this is the positive. The good thing about actually the bottom of these Mill Clock tubes is, well, they're labelled. So you've got the actual numbers labelled, K9, K blah, 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 and the A is for anode. So we're gonna whack that on anode. So I'm gonna turn the lights down, flick through the different numbers and try and not get electrocuted. That's amazing. It's huge. It's absolutely ginormous. Right, let's, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Right, without touching the positive line, here's the numbers. So we've got 6. Oh, that's nice. 0. It's blooming huge. This is great for the display because you get a real feel of NIXIE tubes. Like if we put it on the side profile, flick through to another one and another one, you can really get them all. That is awesome. Wow. What a beast. 5 is at the front, then it goes to 6, which I don't know where that is. Is that 9? No, that's 9. Where's 6? Oh, 6 is over here. Yeah, 6, and then you could just see where they all are. Oh, just look at that. How beautiful is that? I can't wait to wire this into a circuit. Just look at that. Look at how good that looks. They're easy to use. They're just like any other NIXIE tube. Because I was struggling to find the socket, if you were gonna get one of these, I'd get the one with the PCB headers, possibly because they're going to be easier to plug in. But I've got to 3D print some sockets now. So whilst we're here, we may as well look at the ZM1040, and as you can see, it just looks minuscule. I've got an extra set of crocodile clips, so we can't do it at the same time. So with the power of editing, we can edit in between. There's a wow. It's a chunk. This is a behemoth of a NIXIE tube. That's amazing. And apparently there's bigger ones, so let's go on the hunt for that. Anyway, have a lovely time.